Okay, so this is part of the ongoing saga of hunting talk. I can't thank you enough, Backwoods, for your input and just like the back and forth with it, and a lot to cover. Let me get my thoughts together here. You know, a wise man would have had his thoughts together before he started the video, which I'm between two things. I got a pretty badass story to tell about the 35 Remington and that Tasco scope. And see, that was the thing about that scope. It was like from either the 60s or the 70s, and I too had read that thing about, okay, well, I've got a real clear field of vision. It's made in Japan, you know, bound to be good, because, you know, Japan quality is better than Chinese quality, going if guitars are any indication, right? And I figured, well, hell, maybe it's a world-class scope, and the people I talked to even said as much, you know. And when I was given the rifle, even, and this is part of the story, and I'm not gonna, I don't want to ruin the story, but part of it, you know already, like I rattled the reticles out of the damn thing, but it was like, wow, yeah, and the scope is, how you like that scope, you know? Yeah. So it wasn't, it's not, I don't call it world-class at all, or maybe it was world-class sitting on a 22, which I'm thinking those wide field of views, you know, where that works. Like I said, we mount them to like the 10-22 when we're going after squirrel. Which, by the way, I don't know if you've ever hunted raccoon, but you don't even want to bother hunting raccoon with a 22, which I don't think my raccoons are actually raccoons. Like I said, I killed 7 of them shits year before last, and you're not going to take one down with a 22. It's sick. I should share with you some of these pictures. I've shot them. I got these arrows that you call them bolts, crossbow bolts, and I figured, well, shit, small game, I'll put a small game broadhead, so it has like these little prongs on it, you know, for doing squirrel and shit. Well, that was a mistake, because what would happen, the shaft was hitting them, the spring-loaded prongs were actually breaking, and it was going through them like the equivalent of if I just went and shot them with a field point instead of a broadhead, okay? And one particular time, maybe 2 particular times on 2 different occasions, I don't know why I don't learn my lesson. Well, I'll tell you why. It's because I don't feel like spending, you know, $18 potentially wasting a broadhead because of the ones I use on a raccoon. Because the raccoon I'm dispatching as a nuisance. Now, we do have a guy in town that takes them, which is another story, which I can't wait to tell. Remind me to tell you the story of what happens to the raccoons. It's not put to waste, and it's not to make a hat either. So anyway, literally, this thing, imagine it, an arrow shaft going through it, just holding it like as if it's trying to pull it out with its hands, because, you know, them damn things have thumbs, and just growling, looking right at me, growling at me. It's some sick stuff, man. I can't even begin to tell you. We've trapped them too, and let me tell you something. I don't know. I don't think they're raccoons. Like I said, I think they're honey badgers. So on to the muzzle loaders. To the best of my knowledge, and we will pretend that it is the case, because Florida is Florida, becoming legendary, quickly becoming legendary. I think I'm good. I'm good with inline, and I'm good with a magnified optic. Yeah, definitely 50 caliber. Honestly, I was going I was really in it, and it's going to sound crazy, and Tex, if he's listening, he's going to roll his eyes to this shit, but I'm actually looking at leaning towards traditions for my first one. And I'll tell you why. It's literally, now people spend more for less, but it's literally one weekend for me. So essentially, we'll have our, sequentially speaking, bow season will go from the middle of September to the middle of October. So a good full month. I'm going to get many bow hunts in. Muzzleloader goes from the middle of October to the beginning of November. So just 2 weeks there, which is going to be 2 weekends. And I'll typically catch opening weekend because that's like doe weekend. So the leading weekend, you'll have a doe weekend. Bow is doe the whole time. The leading weekend of muzzleloader is doe, and then the leading weekend of general gun is doe. And just hedging my bets, depending on if something really amazing happens, like if I'm good on meat, no longer in a meat crisis, which I'm like half a deer away from being in what they call a meat crisis, because I gave away 2 deer of the 3 that I harvested this last year, and kind of running on empty from the first one. And make matters worse, the one that I kept was an early one. It was that janky asymmetrical buck, if you remember, and the wife does not actually care for buck meat. Yes, you heard me. You heard it here. The lady of the house prefers the gentle stylings of doe venison. I, on the other hand, I prefer buck meat. I was raised on gamey meat because we would get my dad's friends and the hunters that I looked up to, a lot of them ran dogs, so animals were stressed out, and it was a different time in the 80s down here. So kind of used to that gamey meat. Like literally everything was a stew. And then if you were getting on that backstrap, buddy, you were earning it. So we are now in a meat crisis, down to a buck meat backstrap and maybe some cube steaks. Half of a janky buck that didn't know how to treat the ladies. So the muzzleloader thing, inline magnified optic. I'm going to go back over your video and write down what you said about the boar butter and the cleaning solvent. I think those 2 things are key. Definitely going with 50 caliber. And you're not the first person that talked about the 100 grain charge versus the 150. The guy I hunt with, he does the 100 grain charge as well. And he was the one that actually suggested traditions to see how I was at. If I had a longer season, and if General Gun wasn't right around the corner, I would James Shockey it and go for a higher quality unless I really dig it. Something crazy when I was a kid, thinking about hunting and thinking about this romantic notion about how I would master General Gun and then master muzzleload and then master archery later. I used to think it'd be cool to get like a Kentucky flintlock or something, which it's like the worst possible idea for hunting. I mean, it'd be fun and it'd be a beautiful rifle, and it'd be especially beautiful if I built the thing, put together one of those kits. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And it may be a lot of fun, even if I do like a side hammer, you know. I want to say too, I appreciate, like, I definitely am going to go back over the video. I appreciate your primer suggestion also, because I want to say my buddy runs shotgun primers. So if we're pushing the charge prior to ignition, then I want to make sure I use the right stuff. And beyond that, man, yeah. You know what? I think we're going to 2-for-1 this. I'm going to tell the story. No. The 35 Remington deserves its own video. It does. I was close. I was close there. All right, man. Good looking out. Thank you for the response. And to everybody else that we're boring the hell out of, I'm sure y'all clicked off by now. And to anybody else who's like aggravated over like, no, don't do that. Get a different bow. I'm sorry. Truly am sorry. I'm just trying to put deer in my freezer, man. And distance-wise, you know, these muzzleload shots are going to be 50 yards and in. So we'll see how it rolls. All right, catch y'all later.